Sorry for the weak tap, it's a windy spoon. Keep it ghetto as fuck. Good morning, you motherfucking sunshines.
Good morning, fuckers. Back on the trail. Not habit. Not back on the trail. Back in Georgia, though. Today is 1 month since I finished the CDT. Slowly going through that transition period. You would think after 3 times doing this, I'd be an expert at this shit, but it's always rough. It always sucks. But we're slowly transitioning back into the real world, whatever that fucking is. It's pretty messed up. You don't realize it when you're on trail, how fucked up the world really is until you get back home. But here we are, man. Just trying to spend time with my dog and, you know, keep the joints loose, put some weight back on my skeleton that I was left with after finishing the CDT. But we're slowly getting back to normal, and it's good to see y'all. Well, I'm currently unemployed, but I guess that gives me more time to make videos for you guys, and that's what we're going to do today. Had a couple requests on from patrons to do a video on my photography. As many of you know, photography the last couple of years has become a major hobby of mine. Luckily, it coincides with my addiction for long distance hiking, so it's a win-win for me. And I've cataloged a lot of photos the last 3 trails. I think I've got over 6,000 cataloged on Lightroom. Now, granted, probably 70% of those photos are shit, but I've taken some photos that I'm quite proud of over the last few years. So I've hand selected a few, and you know, every photo has a story, and that's one of my favorite parts of photography, is being able to tell the story that comes along with it. And that's what we're gonna do today. So I'm gonna go through some images with you, some of my favorites I've taken on these trails, and tell you a little backstory on them, and where I was and why I took them, and kind of what was going through my head as I took these photos. So let's pull up the good old Lightroom and let's see what we got, man. All right, this first image here. This photo was taken on the AT. I want to say it was in Virginia. I don't remember for sure, but I'm pretty sure this was Virginia. And now this day, right before I took this photo, I just got done hiking through an hour downpour. Hey, Mother Nature, the fucking flowers are watered already. Cut the fucking faucet up. Jesus Christ. And if you notice in the photo, I'm not wearing any rain gear. Well, in the AT, you get so used to walking through the rain. You know, downpouring here for a half hour. The sun will come out. It'll start raining again 20 minutes later. At this point, after hiking through that hour-long downpour, I was like, screw it with the rain gear. I'm not even going to bother with it. At least it was in Virginia. By that time, it was warm rain, so it didn't really bother me. But I was soaked to the bone. Came down to this road crossing. It finally stopped raining, but then the fog, as you see in the background there, the mist and the fog over the road would just look fucking killer. And I wanted to keep hiking because I had pretty good pace going on at this point, but that looked so fucking cool. I had to stop and take a photo. So, you know, I get asked quite a bit, who takes the photos of you? Well, I take them all myself. This is me setting my tripod up on the road, setting the timer, and doing my best impression of actually walking, so it looks candid, of me actually walking across the road. But as you can see, you know, rain gear. I got the shorts and short sleeve shirt on still. Mud all over my legs. I was just completely soaked. Get used to it on the AT, man. You're gonna get rained on. And 2018 was one of the wettest years to date. I think I through Virginia, actually, I think I got rained on 12 days in a row at one point. I don't know if it was on this particular stretch, but yeah, 12 days in a row through Virginia at one point I got pissed on. Moving on, another photo from the AT. This is actually taken earlier on. This is actually, I just entered the Smokies at this point, and it wasn't warm rain. It was cold, wet rain. Wet, obviously. Wet rain is wet, goddammit. But this is just entering the Smokies, and this is the day I decided to branch out on my own and hike solo the rest of the way. I got up in a shelter and decided to do 18, bypassing the next shelter to the one after that. So I did 18 this day. You know, for anybody that's hiked the AT, this particular scene will look very familiar to you. They call it the Appalachian River sometimes, and just to give you guys an idea of what the fuck I'm hiking today, the trail is pretty much a fucking river. I expected that. And that's what you see here in this image. I mean, the trail is completely waterlogged. It just looked like a river, and yeah, you're wet all day long. Again, with the fog and the mist of the trees, looks cool as hell. And then with the trail being as waterlogged as it was, you could actually see the reflection of the trees in the trail itself, which I thought was pretty fucking cool. But yeah, that was a wet, rainy day, but one of my favorite photos I've taken on the AT. Next one, moving on to the PCT. This is in California. This was in the midst of the McDonald's resupply challenge. If you remember when I did that, I was stupid enough to do that.
6, 7, 8 McDoubles.
This is day number 2 of the McDonald's resupply challenge. It was from Cajon Pass, so you get to Cajon Pass on the PCT. The McDonald's is literally right up the trail, so everybody goes there. I ended up zeroing at that McDonald's, eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner, then bought my resupply at that McDonald's to go out for the next stretch to Wrightwood, California. It's 28 miles. This is day number 2 of that. So as I was taking photos of this, I was probably eating McDoubles.
Fucking beautiful. Last day of the McDonald's resupply challenge. 2 McDoubles, 1 6-piece nugget, 1 barbecue sauce, 1 sweet and sour sauce. 10 miles to Wrightwood. Let's do this shit, man.
In between shots, but I'd camped up here. Obviously, it didn't look like this when I set up my tent, but the following morning, I was pleasantly surprised to see what was outside my tent. It was just an ocean of clouds. In fact, there was a couple day hikers that come up there that day as I was taking these photos, and they had mentioned to me that, yeah, we read online that you could see the ocean from up here at this viewpoint. I'm like, yeah, it's right in front of you. There's an ocean of clouds. You couldn't see anything but clouds. It was pretty fucking cool. And in fact, the mountaintops there actually do look like islands coming up from the water, aka clouds. It was pretty fucking awesome. Aside from eating McDonald's for breakfast, this was a pretty killer morning. And in black and white, I just think it looks cool in black and white. Next image. This wasn't quite as good of a memory. Some of these photos bring back good memories. Some bring back bad. This is a bad memory on the PCT. Looking back, it was pretty shitty at the time, but looking back now, it's a pretty cool fucking image. I'm glad I took it. This was at the summit of Baden-Powell. I didn't take many side trails on the PCT, because I already stopped so much to, film myself, walking past the camera and all that shit. I wasn't about to take side trails, but this particular side trail I did do, because I think it was less than a mile up to the summit of Baden-Powell, so I said, screw it, we'll go up there. It wasn't like this as I was hiking up. It was still snowy and, foggy and stuff. But then I got to the summit and then the sleet started. As you see here with my beard, the sleet had started coming down. And then it got even worse. My beard got even worse than this. This particular video, this day, I titled it, I Don't Want to Talk About It. I don't really want to talk about it right now. And when I got to camp, my beard was 4 times worse than it is what you see in this image. So what happened was I got to Baden-Powell, up to the top of Baden-Powell, and the weather just took a turn for the worse. As I descended Baden-Powell, you get to a junction on the PCT. You can either go left or right. Well, I pulled out my phone to look at Gut to check which way I was supposed to go. Well, my phone had become waterlogged at that point. I couldn't read it. So I didn't know which way to go. I did eeny, meeny, miny, mo. I went left when I should have went right. I went down these switchbacks for probably 3/4 of a mile till I realized, man, I should be at camp by now. By that time, it was too late. I'd already descended, so I had to go back up those switchbacks. And at this point, the weather had gotten bad from bad to worse, and it was just sideways sleet. So by the time I got to camp, I had an ice beard down past my chest, and I got to camp, and I said, I don't want to talk about it. We'll talk about it in the morning. I just want to get dry, get in my sleeping bag, and that's what I did. But this was actually probably 2 hours before I got to camp up on top of Baden-Powell, when the weather just started to get really shitty. Speaking of ice beards, this one's even more epic. This is actually up at Stevens Pass on the PCT in Washington. Good God, man. This is the day I lost my camera. It was, rest in peace, Sony A7 III, still sitting up there at Stevens Pass. Nobody has claimed it. I left my contact information with the ski patrol there, but nobody can ever contact me about it. So I got up the top of Stevens Pass. Well, backtracking a little bit, the day before, I had hiked through like 12 hours of rain. It rained all day long, and I was over it. I ended up setting my tent up at this lake. It was 7 miles out from here, Stevens Pass. I'm like, okay, it's only 7 miles in the morning. I can do that, no problem. Well, it turned out to be a bad decision. I should have pushed it even farther into town the night before because the rain turned to this overnight. I woke up at that fucking lake. It pissed rain for 10 hours. Set up my shit. It pissed rain for another like 6 hours while I was in my tent. Woke up this morning. I woke up, there was 5 inches of snow on the ground, and it was blizzard conditions. Woke up, started hiking as fast as I could to get to town, and right before I descended down here to the ski resort, I had tripped in a snowbank, and by that time my capture clip on my shoulder strap, which holds my A7 III, my camera, had gotten loose. The bolt had gotten loose, and I tripped, and my camera fell off into a snowbank, and I was so discombobulated I didn't even know it happened. Got down here to the ski resort. Luckily, Ski Patrol was there. This is before the resort had even opened up for the year, but luckily, Ski Patrol was there opening up before the season. They had let me in there to dry my shit out. They actually had a washer and dryer. They made me coffee. I was able to dry my shit out, but then I had glanced over at my pack, realized my camera wasn't on my shoulder strap. I'm like, oh, fuck. I looked out through the window, back up at that pass. I'm like, that camera just ate my mountain. I'm not going back up there in those conditions. It was a sad day, and I ended up having to film with my phone the rest of the way on the PCT, but by the time what you see there is 7 miles worth of blizzard conditions, and my feet and hands were numb. It took me about 40 to 45 minutes to dry out, to get the feeling back in my fingers. Shitty at the time, cool looking back at it. Moving on to some better memories. This is Crater Lake on the PCT. Yeah, me and Feathers, this is me and Feathers were hiking together. We had camped illegally as hell. You're not supposed to camp at Crater Lake. And we did anyway. And we actually cowboy camped. I wanted to set my tent up, but she was like, no, we can't make this obvious that we're camping here. So, I hate cowboy camping, but, she convinced me to cowboy camp. And this is the morning, so we saw the sunset and sunrise, which you see here from Crater Lake. And that morning, I was so discombobulated because I never cowboy camped because I can't keep my shit together. All my shit was scattered all over the place. I couldn't find my coffee. I couldn't find my spoon, my stove, all this shit. It took me forever. Meanwhile, this beautiful sunrise is coming up. I'm trying to get this intro scene done. It just took fucking forever. And I'm sitting there filming my intro, and Feathers is over there filming her video.
Good morning, you motherfucking sunshines.
So I'm just laughing her ass off because I'm just grumbling and I can't find shit. Meanwhile, this beautiful sunrise is happening. But I did manage to snap off this shot before I got too high in the sky. Pretty epic night and day there at Crater Lake. I'd like to go back again and see this lake in the wintertime, but this morning was a good morning. Moving on to Washington. Again, this is obviously Bridge of the Gods. It's a special time in a PCT through hikers hike when they get to cross this bridge because you're entering into Washington. And you have only one state left, about 450 miles or so to the Canadian border. So you feel like it's okay. I can finish this thing. We're almost there. But the funny backstory to this photo was, before I actually got to this bridge, on the other side of that bridge, the south side of it, you're in Cascade Locks, Oregon. Well, I hiked into Cascade Locks. My biggest mile in the PCT. I did 38 miles into Cascade Locks through the pouring rain all day. I got up and started hiking at like 3 in the morning, and I didn't get to Cascade Locks till probably about 6 in the afternoon. And my ankle had just crapped out on me. That 38 mile a day did it in for my ankle. I woke up the next day in Cascade Locks. I couldn't put pressure on my right ankle. I couldn't even walk without a pack on around town. So I ended up having to like 000 And I'm sitting there in my hotel room, and I'm like, well, at least I'll make myself useful, at least do something. So I decided to go to the laundromat to dry out my quilt. Well, I ended up getting in a fist fight with a couple meth heads, a meth head and his girlfriend at the laundromat because they had put their wet clothes on top of my dry sleeping bag that I'd spent all day drying on the laundromat, pumping it full of quarters. So I ended up getting a fist fight on one ankle with these meth heads in Cascade Locks. 3 days later, I had enough strength to put pressure with a pack on to cross that bridge. And I ended up bawling my eyes out, knowing that I had one final stretch to go on the PCT. Very special moment crossing that bridge. Moving on to the CDT. This is in the San Juans. I decided to try astrophotography on the CDT. I actually bought this lens you see here me filming with now, 20 millimeter 1.8. Wanted to give a shot at astrophotography in the Milky Way. So that's what this is here. No expert at it, obviously, but I think some of these images I got of the Milky Way turned out all right. This is, like I said, in the San Juans. You see the pass I just come down off of in the backdrop behind my tent there. Real snowy conditions. I'd hiked by myself that day. I actually started the San Juans with a group, but I woke up early the previous morning, and they never did catch up to me. So I hiked this day solo, walked down off that pass you see behind me, my tent there, and came down to a river. I had to cross this river. Now, there was a snow bridge there, but I had one break on me on the PCT up in the Sierra, and I wasn't about to repeat that. So I am spending like an hour walking back and forth in this river trying to find the best spot to cross. Finally crossed it and then hooked it to this spot to where I was close to start the next morning on the CDT. But to get this shot, I use an app called Photo Pills on my phone. It allows you to plan ahead of time. So it uses augmented reality. So in the daytime, you can actually put your phone up and it'll show you where the Milky Way will be at a particular time in the evening when it comes up. And that's what I did here. So I framed the shot in the daytime and then set my alarm to wake up in the middle of the night, get out of my tent, and snap this photo. How I lit my tent here was just my headlamp. When you're taking long exposure shots, you're letting so much light into your camera sensor. This is just my headlamp inside my tent, and it makes it light up when you're taking long exposures like this. So pretty cool image. The foreground is not sharp, obviously, because it only lets so much light in, so the foreground's out of focus, but obviously you're not concentrated on that, you're concentrated on the tent, that snowy backdrop, and obviously a million stars in the sky. Pretty cool. I'll get better at astrophotography, but this is my first go at it. This is taken in the San Juans as well in Colorado. This is up at elevation above 10,000 feet where mountain goats live. This particular morning, I was sitting there filming my coffee intro, and these goats actually woke me up. I was sitting there concentrating on, doing my tap, tap, tap on all this bullshit, and then I see these goats wander. They're probably 15 feet away from my tent. I scrambled, got my wide angle lens off my camera, threw it on my 70 to 200 so I could snap these goats. They were so friendly, they weren't going anywhere. And this is a mother and a baby goat. They hung around my tent all morning, and then packed up, and there was 4 more goats right by the CDT. They were not scared of humans. So this is with golden hour in the morning as the sun was rising. It is cool as hell with the sun being reflected off of them. Pretty damn cool, special moment that morning. a couple more to take a look at here. I mean, I could go on and on all day, but we'll try to keep this video as short as possible. This photo was taken in the Great Basin in Wyoming, one of the shittiest stretches I've ever hiked through. This particular day was my biggest day on the CDT. I think I did 238-mile days. This is one of them. The Great Basin is just, it's unforgiving, man. There's just, the water, it's few and far between, and the water you do get is just shit. I still have the aftertaste in my mouth from this water I drank on this day. It was horrible. I'm getting up at like 2 in the morning, hiking on this dirt road all day, and then I hiked all the way until where you see here at sunset.
God damn, that water's nasty. This water in front of me doesn't look too much better. Ugh. Well, got my happy ass up and started walking again. I can still go. I got plenty of light. I kind of am tempted to do 40 miles today. I ain't pushing another 2 to the next water. Fuck all that noise. I'm done.
And I think I hiked about 2 miles past sunset to get to camp, but my feet were thrashed and I was so damn exhausted and I was so dehydrated. But then I turned around and saw that sun, and all the pain just melted away in my feet. It was amazing. I sat there and watched that sunset go over those mountains before I even started walking again. Pretty special after that horrible day of hiking through the desert heat on that fucking dirt road, man. But it just goes to show you, you enjoy little moments like that when you're in that much misery and pain on these long trails. Which brings us to the final image, and this is probably my favorite photo I've ever taken of myself. And this is obviously at Mount Katahdin up in Maine after finishing the AT. I had just gone through so much leading up to that trail, from getting sober and working my ass off, working 2 full-time jobs for a year and a half to save money to get gear and get out on that trail. I just gone through so much, and it just meant so much to me to get to that sign. I saw, you look at pictures of Mount Katahdin before you start the AT. You think to yourself, what would it be like to actually stand there after hiking 2,200 miles? And you don't know until you get there. And when I got to that sign, man, I just a flash flood of memories of what I had gone through leading up to that trail, and what I'd gone through on the trail itself to get to that sign was just so special to me. And I just bawled my eyes out, and it was amazing. Anybody that's hiked the AT, you know exactly what I'm talking about. When you get to that sign, it's just, you can't explain to somebody who hasn't done it before. It's just a very special time. A special moment in my life, and I'll never forget it. That image right there will be burned into my memory until the day they put me in the dirt, man. It was just a special time. So that's all the images. I could have gone through thousands of images with you, but these are some of the ones that I particularly like, and some of them aren't the greatest photos in the world, but they hold special stories and special memories for me, and that's what life's all about. So if you want me to make another one of these videos, I'll gladly do this again. I could talk about photos that I've taken all day long. But speaking of photos, what's in the box, man? Got the first print of calendars. For people that have ordered the pre-order, I will be shipping these out to y'all. I will autograph each one for you, and I'll start shipping these out next week. If you'd like to order one of these, go on my website, Saved by Mountains Photography. They are for sale. I'll do another printing, but if you do want them before Christmas as a gift or whatever, try to get your order in as soon as possible, because they do need to print these and get them to me. So that takes a little lead time there. Not quite as bad as some of these Z-Packs and Enlightened Equipment lead times, but lead times nonetheless. So if you like a calendar 2022, these are some of my favorite photos I took. Again, it was hard to choose just 12 out of the thousands I took, but I did my best, and I think I got a good mix of photos in here for you. But some of my favorite photos from the CDT available, as well as prints I have on my website as well. So if you're interested in any of those, hit up my website. Also, IBTAT merch is available, stickers and shirts and all that shit. Coffee mugs, branded the fuck out, man. This video is sponsored by IBTAT. I don't have any sponsors. I am the sponsor. So I'm gonna leave you there. Yeah, again, if you want me to do another one of these videos, go ahead and drop a comment, like, subscribe, share, all that good shit. It's good catching up with you. We'll make more videos in the future. Until then, it's your boy Habitat. We'll holler at you fuckers next time.